We'll be live and now. Hi, this is Gayle. Welcome to my channel. Normally, this what a day. Normally we do this on Wednesday, but I couldn't yesterday because of an appointment, and today my meeting ran over. So here it is, Thursday at 3. I'm doing it live. We're out traveling, and so here we are. Because of the time change, I'm not sure how many people will be able to join us. But I thought I would pop on just a few minutes and say howdy. I also want to answer, while we're here, I want to answer a question. Hey, we've got 3 people in. Hi and welcome. And hi, Melissa. I'm so sorry to be running late. I hope your day is going well. I was at a meeting a little while ago and everything runs later than you think. Oh, 4 is good for you. Awesome. I'll keep that in mind. Because I thought I'd pop on tomorrow too. Where are we going? We are still deciding that. Actually, we are somewhere in around Knoxville, Tennessee right now. Hi, Laurel. Welcome. So we're somewhere around Knoxville, Tennessee right now. I think we're going to wind up, I don't know. We'll see. We're talking about a few things, so. I want to drive up. Gatlinburg has got their Winterfest lights on, and I would like to drive up and see it. Problem is, last time I saw Christmas lights, my equipment didn't do well, according to the video, so we'll see. That's the big goal. But my meeting was in Knoxville. So, yeah, kind of basing it from there. So, we're in the van today because you want to say hi, Tomlin, or are you going to still be there? Tomlin is mad at me. I don't know if you can see him down there, but he's like, lately, if he sees the camera, I was recording, I've got a video coming out about staying warm in a camper van. And he comes behind me in the video in the very back of the room, looks at me, sees the camera, and just keeps on walking. I'm like, okay. So, hey, Colin, you want to pop up here? You want to say hi? Come here. Yeah. You want to say hi? Look right in there. See? Can you see? You want to pop up? You want to hop up here? That's where you were a minute ago. You want back on my lap? Come on. No, you can look in the camera. He's like, forget it. He's not having it. Oh, I know. He's been busy. Yep. Oh, yeah. Taking care of me at the meeting. And of course, we got a question of, is that a real service dog? And so that opened a conversation, didn't it? Always does. Yeah. But anyway, so let's see. What was it I was going to say? Oh, yeah. I got a question the other day about making money online. A friend of mine, who is part of the government shutdown, was asking about how to make extra money online. The other thing that she was asking about, and Melissa, this may be up your alley. I think we maybe mentioned it. But she was asking about how to make money online and cheap recipes for like how to stretch your food budget. So I told her that I would talk about this today a little bit because I used to write online. That's how I used to make money to pay my bills, was online. So we're going to talk about that. Okay? All right, you just sit there and look cute. So, yes, the $40 day trip includes gas, souvenirs, food, the whole bit. The rules are that when we start out, we can use whatever we have at home or whatever we use in the van. We just can't stock up for purposes of $40 day trip. My goal with that is to be able to show people that there are interesting things in their own backyards and that they can go and explore these without necessarily breaking the bank. So that's the rules for the $40 day trip. And once I started looking and doing the research about was it actually feasible, what I found is there's a lot of like little burgs, kind of, if you want to call them that, little small towns all around me that I can go to, and I had a tendency to overlook them because they're not the big flashy cities. Um, but come to find out, most all of them have history museums with information that is pertaining to that particular town or city. And there's usually one or two older restaurants for the town, and usually parks, some interesting businesses to go into, and some things like that make it really worth going, but without necessarily something that you're going to think about with a day trip. I was hoping you could make it up to Cincinnati. One of the things that we're looking at for this year is going to a town or city. Hey, going to and seeing if we can use that town for a jumping off point to see if it would be possible to do a $40 day trip at that particular city. So in that case, the gas to get there is going to be handled a little differently. And the cost of lodging is going to be handled differently if there's a cost. There may not be a cost because we've got the van. But hi, Joe. Welcome today. So Laurel, and then once we depart for that day, anything that we would do for that day would fall under the $40 day trip. So however much gas we have when we leave the campground, whatever groceries we have to have breakfast with at the campground or something like that, that would be applicable to the $40 day trip. So we're putting together a hit list, so to speak. A lot of it, I don't know how much is going to happen before we go to Cincinnati, about possibly going to Cincinnati before we go to Alaska, because that's going to take up a lot of our resources, even though it's a mission trip. But I've talked to Amber and John Rivers Homestead about going down to Rome, Georgia, which looks like it has a abundance of things to do. So Cincinnati was not on the list, but we can definitely put it on the list. So yeah, Cincinnati's a fun town when there's not construction. So yeah, and so kind of going back to Bethany's question of how to make money online, that's how we're going to fund the trips. So there's a company called textbroker.com. I'm mentioning this for Bethany's sake, since she had asked. That is an online ghostwriting site. You're not going to make much money there, but if you have a certain bill at a certain dollar amount, then you can work toward that on TextBroker. But a lot of the articles are like $2, $5, so it's not much at all. Sometimes they can be time consuming, but she's in with the government shutdown stuff, so that'll help with her. There's also some other online writing sites that you can turn to. Now, Fiverr, Fiverr, is a site where you can post your skills and a little description there, and people will actually come to you. And the idea with Fiverr is that a lot of jobs are in $5 increments, and when you first get started, you're going to want to do a $5 offer for jobs. Then as your skills and your clientele builds up, you can jack up the price from there. So, of course, YouTube, you can make money on YouTube, but if you have the hours, if you have the subscribers, which most people in the government shutdown don't. But yeah, for me, I'm not necessarily looking at shutdown like she is, but for me, when I do the $40 day trips, that's how They're going to be funded. Yeah, there's two of them. Text Broker is TEXTBROKER, textandbroker.com. The other one is Fiverr, FIVERR.com. And it's a takeoff on the word, oh, give them a fiver, as a tip or whatever. So those two, Upwork, UPWORK, is a good site. So like if you have, you really have skills that you don't think you have, virtual assistant is huge right now. And I can just about guarantee that if you're willing to be somebody's virtual assistant, especially if they only need a few days a week, then that's going to be an opportunity for you. Because good virtual assistants are like gold. They are so hard to find. And honestly, when you're like on my side, the outside looking in, it's almost a crapshoot when you go to look for a virtual assistant, because you have to trust that person's going to do what they do. So, what they're agreeing to do and actually get it done, because you're talking about being online. So, I'll give you an example. I had to have the graphic done for Bodacious. The lady who did that is in Czechoslovakia. So with her, I originally went to Upwork after she was my third graphic artist, and I had the sketch of what I wanted done. This was on an earlier graphic, and people just couldn't come up with that. So it took 3 tries for me to find her. So here, it's Upwork, UPWORK. So, yeah. So, anyway, when I found her on the earlier graphic, I went back to her. So, even though she's in Czechoslovakia, she was able to help with the graphic. And then I needed help. Yes, you got it, Melissa. You got it. Yeah. So, and when I needed help for a virtual assistant, I actually found somebody who was great. She was with Fiverr. She wanted $5 an hour because while she was helping me and looking at emails, she could also help out some of her other clients, which was fine with me. But she graduated from school and was able to get another much nicer job. She was in the medical field. So she no longer had clients. But the thing with her is she was helping me in the U.S. and she was in the Philippines. So you don't have to be anywhere near the same geographical area to work with somebody if you're doing, those things online with Fiverr, Upwork, or even Text Broker. So those are 3 sites that you can use. And of course, like I said, if you've got enough people and enough traffic and enough everything, you can make money on YouTube, but don't plan on making a lot. If I make $30 in a month on Google AdSense, it's a good month for me. Not quite enough to pay for a $40 day trip, Laurel. But someday, yeah. But if I ever do get to Cincinnati, or rather when I do, meeting up would be great. That would be fun. So, what about you guys? How are your days going? Laurel's laughing. Yeah. Maybe there's a Starbucks or something. Something someplace easier to find. Last time I was through Cincinnati, it was storming and it was construction. So, you all, I know you and Joe know how that goes in Cincinnati. What are you doing? He's snoring already. So if you hear that, it's him. And let's see. Chief Living says, I have an Upwork account. I need to make one on Fiverr as well. And Laurel says it's warmer than a few days ago, which is good. That's excellent. It's pretty good here today in Knoxville. So, you were awake a minute ago. I hope he's not. Can you guys hear him? And Chief Living says, I changed computers, LOL. This is Melissa, for those who don't know. Yeah, Melissa is also Chief Living. And thank you all for the thumbs up. Joe says, finally got on the phone to the raccoon removal people, and they will be out Monday to set the traps. Good for you. So, now, does, like, Ohio Wildlife Resources, do they come out and set traps? Or somebody in the city? I guess you're closer to this, a little closer to the city there. Reason I ask is because here, if you live out in the rural areas, if you have a problem, Tennessee Wildlife Resources will come and set traps. Or so we've been told. You know, we may be fixing to test that. Because critters that aren't supposed to be there is not good. Tanya's here. Hi, Tanya. Welcome. You're joining Laurel and Melissa and Joe. Melissa's asking, what did your virtual assistant do for you? Excuse me. My virtual assistant checked my email. I'd given her a list of like important email addresses, and I told her, I said, if you see an email from one of these email addresses, flag it, just hit the star icon. If it looks like spam, and you can just go ahead and delete it, go ahead. And gave her a list of the types of emails that she could just respond to for me. So, and the other thing was she would help make appointments, things like that. I didn't usually have a lot of email. So we're talking about 4 or 5 emails usually to plow through, if you want to call it plowing. And mostly it was helping me make appointments. So the first one was absolutely great. I could rely on her, and she was super. The next 2, not so great. Not so great. I told her, I said, when you first get into my email, well, first of all, I told her she could pick any 2 hours of the week that she wanted to work, as long as they were consistent. Like, don't pick Tuesday and then the next week switch it to Friday, and the next week switch it to Tuesday. But say like, well, Melissa, maybe I should hire you. Seriously, we'll talk about that. So I told her, I said, just 2 hours a week, just be consistent. And when you first get into the email, send me an email, so the timestamp will be on it, so I know you've been there. And then when you sign out of the email, send me another email to let me know you signed out. So, a couple of weeks went by, and the day for the 2 hour got all shifted up. Then there was a couple of weeks that I didn't get the time-stamped emails, and she was like, oh, I forgot to send them. But it was becoming pretty obvious that she wasn't checking. She was just billing, so, yeah. But the first lady was fabulous. I will say that. So you just never know. But the lady that was fabulous was able to build up, I think, a pretty nice clientele, which worked for her because she was doing it around school. So yeah, what you do doesn't have to be complicated. Some people would take phone calls. People would know that they would be gone for lunch for an hour a day. So instead of putting their phone calls on forwarding for an answering service. They would put them on forwarding through Skype somehow, and the virtual assistant, she said, she was telling me about it, would take calls. Some people will write up a blog post, rewrite a document, things like that. Just any little thing that you need done other than like copying and filing. Yeah, and Melissa's saying, oh my goodness, she should have communicated with you if she wasn't able to be consistent. That would be the thing. I don't expect miracles. I try to be easy to work with because I know what my life is like. But just some consistency. And I did tell her that she needed to change those hours to let me know, but to let me know like a couple of days ahead of time so I could change, because the reason I wanted to set days so I could plan things so I knew I wasn't going to have to, like worry about checking my email on that particular day. So, but anyway. Yeah, Tanya said that's the honorable way to handle it. And I agree. And interestingly enough, this person happened, just as the way it worked, this one happened to be in the U.S. So it's really interesting that the lady who was in the Philippines was more consistent. Yeah, Melissa says, right, also professional, and that's true. But that's the key to anything, whether you're online or offline. It's all about reputation and how you are with people. That's how you're going to make money. Because if you're a terrible, awful person to get along with, I don't care what job you've got, you're not going to keep it. So if you're late coming in and early leaving consistently, or not bothering to show up, which is essentially the case with this lady, then you're not going to keep your job, whether it's online or off. So, working for Upwork or Fiverr, you're working for yourself. And some people do make their full-time living off of it. So yeah. I know, right? Okay, he just woke up a little bit, so maybe he's not going to snore. So, yeah. So I've got 7 people in. Hi and welcome. Do click that like button for me, please. And Melissa says exactly. That's true. But it's freelance work. So, and Herman the Great says, hello, Gayle. You look like you're in an airplane or a train. No, actually, we have a camper van, and this is what I use to travel in. So, my husband redid the inside of a white panel van for us. We bought it, and it was just a shell. So, he added cabinets and insulation and the bed and more cabinets and, like our water system and stuff like that. So, we got it mostly for mission trips. And good heavens, it's been on some. So, even when I met Joe Kersey here, we were in the van even. So, and yeah, I've actually been taking the van just out in general a little bit more over the past few months, year or so, because of my right knee being an issue, and it's easier to get up in it. And Laurel said, I just want to sell my artwork and give instruction on using discarded and disposable materials. That's awesome. We've talked about that before, and I love that idea. So for you, making money online would be like blogs, doing an ebook, or 2 or 3, doing the YouTube channel. I don't know about Twitch. I'm hearing a lot about Twitch. That might be a possibility. Melissa said she'd like to work from home, but she doesn't have experience doing that. There's a lot of work at home things that you can do. Laurel's asking, how do you do an ebook? Well, an ebook can be done a couple of different kinds of ways. Amazon is like the big ebook. And so it would be, you would create, there's links if you go through and look at Amazon, and it will take you to the website. I think it's Create Space, where after you write your ebook, you would upload it onto Create Space, and they have covers for you to choose from and things like that. So you would upload it there, put any artwork that you want the photos of to be in that ebook, put that obviously in your ebook, embed them like through a PDF, because most of the time what you're going to upload is a PDF file. So that one for Amazon is a real easy, real quick way to get started. Lulu.com, Lulu, is another place. Emma and Izzy Vlogs, hi! How are you, lady? So, Lulu.com, it's Lulu.com, is a publishing company that you can go to, and you can do your ebook that way. Also, both of those companies, you can do a print book, and so you've got both options there. So if you want your ebook to become print, you can set it up through both of those. Ebooks tend to be a little bit faster, because if you want to set up and sell a print book, what you really need to do before finalizing that paper copy is order a copy and go through it with a red pen, and anything that you might want to change as far as spacing or just the page layout or the font, do that before you finalize the copy of the book. Because sometimes things look different to the eye when you look at them from an ebook than they do when you're holding a paper book. And you probably know this if you've ever... Hey, Chillin' with Sam is in. Hi, Chillin' with Sam. How are you? But it's like, if you've ever looked at an ebook online in your Kindle or on your computer, and then you've bought a paper copy, then you know what I'm talking about. So those two companies right there. I've used both. I've sort of used both of them. I've used Lulu.com for print and for ebook, and my daughter and I helped put some things together, and that was introduced both as an ebook and in print. So, and that was done through Create Space through Amazon. Let me back up here a little bit. Laurel says, what about, can you do an ebook using voice to print? Chief Living, and Chilling with Sam says, well, you can call me Sam if you'd like. Absolutely. I will do that, Sam. But yeah, you can use voice to print. That's no problem, because what you're going to do is you're going to create it in your regular word processing program. So you can speak, no problem. But you're going to want to go do the formatting with your mouse and hand, or send it to somebody who can do the format for you and put in whatever photos that you want. So yes, you can do it through dictation. Just your formatting, you'll want to set that up. And honestly, once you set up your ebook, the format that you want, then you can make a template, and it's much easier to do that second, third, and fourth, and however many ebooks. So you can do it. So and the other thing about ebooks is those go live immediately. Whereas, if you're going to do a paper book, you're going to want a paper copy. And Tanya's saying, hit that like button. Thank you, Tanya. I keep forgetting. So thank you very much. But yeah. Oh, and I guess it's worth mentioning that anything that you do online, you have to tell people. You still got to put it out there. You know, it's like an Etsy store, which, by the way, Brittany, it's another way that you can make online if you make crafts is to do an Etsy store. And so you still, Laurel says, oh, great, I have a friend that can help me get set up. Thanks, Gayle. You're welcome. But it's still up to you. It's always up to you to promote. So word of mouth, social media, press releases, talking to the media, telling your friends. You know, I have a friend that published her ebook several years ago. I mean, we're talking about like, yeah, she's even deceased now. So I guess we're going back to right at the beginning dawn of ebooks. And so, but within just a couple of weeks, she had sold like 100 copies of her ebook. And I was asking her one day, I was like, how did you do this? And she said, oh, I told my grandmother and she told her sister. And so apparently they got on the phones and worked their networks. And so they sold a lot of ebooks because grandma was real proud of her granddaughter. So, but any avenue that you can find. And if you're in a small town, sometimes the press really likes local authors. And Emo and Izzy says, I might write an eBay book one day once Izzy goes to college. Oh, you have got like tons. Just how to homeschool, and you can talk about how to homeschool and pick a grade. You could write just a book on each year, plus, you know, the overall picture, plus life with a homeschool student. Oh, and Mo and Izzy says, whoops, meant ebook. There you go. You can do dozens. You know, and so can Tanya. I mean, and I think a lot of us can, you know, pick out one part of our life and then write an ebook on it. And Mo and Izzy says, oh yes, haven't thought of that. Yeah. And if you eBay, you can do an ebook on how to eBay, and if you have kids and stuff. So, and yeah, Etsy is real crowded. But the thing about Etsy is also you still have to market your own stuff. And Melissa says, I'm super tired, so need to lay down for a bit. Nice chatting. So Melissa, thank you. And Tanya says, one part, sure. And Melissa says she's going to lay down. So yeah, you do that. Mo and Izzy says, I don't feel as if I'm much of an authority on homeschooling. I'm just muddling through and doing my best. But, you know, even as you muddle through and you're doing your best, you still have to know where to get resources. You still have to know how to integrate that into your daily schedule. And I can just tell you, when I was homeschooling my younger daughter just through her middle school years, there was a difference in homeschooling her when I homeschooled her through part of fourth grade than there was, well, let me back up. I homeschooled her in most of her fourth grade year. That was the first time. And then middle school, she just had to be homeschooled. She was just too sick. So life looked very different in what she needed from the perspective of a fourth grader than the perspective from being, you know, a sixth grader. So, you know, you can, even though you're, quote, muddling through, and I hear you, okay, I hear you, there's still a lot that you can write about, you know, and maybe the thing is you don't have all the answers. Maybe you have the right questions. And I think there's still value in even helping somebody understand, you know, what are the questions? You know, homeschooling looks good, but, you know, the whole thing about, do you have to get approved? And is there licensure? Is there yearly tests that you have to take? And can you do it if you're working? All kinds of things like that somebody just needs to know if they're going to get started on homeschooling. So you can pick out easily one or two of those topics. So anyway, let me get back to the other chat here. Mo and Izzy, going back, she doesn't feel like much of an authority, but you've got a lot. Joe says, I think most people have one good book in them, and some folks have more than one. It seems like you're doing just fine there, Mo. I totally agree. Oh my gosh. And she says, yes, you're totally right. Suddenly they do a development leap out of the blue, and you have to rethink how you're doing things and adapt. You know, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And Joe, I think you're totally right. And Laurel says, I homeschool my son and daughter. I also homeschooled my granddaughter. Can I share the difference between my kids and granddaughter experience? I would say absolutely. Because you've got the multiple generation thing, you've got the difference in the curriculum and the books, and it's just different through the years. Plus, you've got how your kids related to you versus how your grandchild's going to relate to you. I think that would be fascinating. That's my personal view. And then Mo says, I guess I do know all that sort of stuff. Thanks, Gayle. And Mo and Izzy says, Laurel, that sounds great. Yeah. Let me adjust here. And I got to tell you, part of this goes back to, I guess the reason I think out of the box is because not only have I had to so much in my personal life, but when I was working with victims of domestic violence, to sit down and help them put together a resume. And they might tell me, oh, I don't have any skills. But then you find out that they were a homeroom mom. And I'm like, oh, so you can supervise a team of people and get projects done? Well, yeah. So I'm like, you can put down homeroom mom, but look at what it is. And so a lot of the people that I worked with would find out that they have more skills than what they thought, just because it had to be, the conversation had to be reframed. So that's where that came from. Yeah. I changed a couple's life one day. It was really kind of cool. They needed some money, and they came to me. I was working in the ministry center, and I'm like, you know, we don't have any money. I can't help you with the light bill. But what we had was stuff, bucket loads of stuff that we couldn't use. We were sending some of it out to be sold per pound for bulk. We're talking about clothing here. And, you know, I was like, okay, we're getting 3 cents a pound for this. How about you do this yard sale? You donate something back, whether it's cash or time, I didn't care which. And you look at the yard sale as though this is a one-day small business. Now, here's what I did. When we were homeschooling my younger daughter through middle school years, she got so mad at me because there was a section in her textbook, and it had to do with economics, and it was on businesses. And she could read the words, but she couldn't figure out how that all fit together. So I'm like, you get to write me a business plan on how to do a small business. And I'm like, you have to tell me where you're going to get the capital. And she's like, I don't need capital. It's a yard sale. And I'm like, where are you going to get the money for your poster board, your newspaper ad, your pens? And she's like, well, I'm just going to ask you. And I'm like, put it down in the paper. So I actually borrowed on that homeschool experience, and we gave the client some stuff, and they went and looked around to try to figure out, you know, what else they had they could put in a yard sale. But the long story short is that had never occurred to them. And here they were asking me for money, and it was just a matter of connecting the dots for them. and to think of it as, oh, this really could be, a one-day small business. And so then they started doing regular yard sales, and the end result was I didn't see them again asking for money. So they were able to, when they got into a bind, they were able to do that for themselves. So, yeah. Isn't it weird how you have just all these strange life experiences that just kind of come together? And Joe says, I remember times in school being somewhat adrift and then having a sudden unexpected intellectual leap. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing that. And Laurel says, I did it with you by the seat of my pants back in 1984. I became a pre-kindergarten teacher from my homeschool days. I also used all of my teaching both at home and at brick and mortar. I took 2 semesters off me getting my associates. And Joe says, so many small startup businesses have a good idea and good people, but they are woefully way undercapitalized. I agree. I totally agree. We actually fell into that with the ministry center I ran. We relied too much on pledges and not enough on the board actually going out and doing fundraising. So when the economy tanked, people can pledge all they want to, but if their business goes under, it goes under. And there's nothing to back those pledges up. And Mo and Izzy Vlog says, that's great. And Laurel says, Joe, where do you live? So he's filling Laurel in. So, yeah. But I think, too, part of it goes to just getting to the point in your life where you're ready to make a change like that and explore different options. And I think that's where some people are right now. So, and it's tragic. But I guess too, we just, in thinking about this conversation and in conversations that I've had with other people, I think too, we don't know what we're capable of until we expand our wings and try to fly. Until we be bodacious, to use our channel hashtag there. Yeah. And, oh no, my phone's going down. Okay. Yeah, I may have to go in a minute. My phone is giving me a battery indicator. Which is, it's plugged up, but it's just not drawing power correctly. Yeah. And Laurel says maybe could do a meetup in Cincinnati. Yes. And Mo and Izzy's been very inspiring. Gayle, you have a wise soul. And says I'm going to have to get myself. Well, thanks. I don't know about having a wise soul. It's just kind of the way life is gone. And Tanya says bye. And Joe says, one of my son's best friends is a fantastic chef for various restaurants, but it took him a great while to get enough capital together to start his own sandwich cart business. And Mo says, I'm really glad I was able to catch you and meet you all. And Mo, I'm glad you were able to come. It's so hard. And I know you're hailing from the UK, and that time distance is huge. So I appreciate it. Hey, Tomlin. You want to say hi to the camera? You could get right here and say hi to the, never mind. Okay. That's it from Tomlin. And let's see, there goes my light. So, all right. Thank you all so much. Joe, I was glad he was able to start his cart business. That's pretty exciting. And there are places like SCORE and the Small Business Administration that you can go to for help on ideas and lots of fundraising. And Joe says at least Mo is not in Australia. Very true. And Laurel says, I have to go take Candy out. Talk to you Sunday. Thanks, Gayle. Laurel, thank you for coming out. Thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And with the phone going on, I will see you later. Don't forget, be bold, be bodacious, grab life. Okay, everybody, grab life and we'll talk to you later. It has been awesome. Thank you so much. Bye.